Hello, welcome to the YouTube series on cybersecurity for everyday users. The goal of this video series is in very simple terms to make you, the everyday user, aware of different cybersecurity risks so that you're able to recognize a potential scam and you know how to deal with the scam. My name is Stoyanov, and the topic of this video is COVID-19 scams. In this video, first we will look at the more common COVID scam techniques, then we will discuss the popular scam scenarios, next we will recap how the scams work, how to recognize these scams, and what to do if you're the victim of a COVID scam. Now, why are COVID scams important? So far, more than $77 million in fraud damages have been reported as a result of COVID scams. And more than 62,000 reports of fraud have been filed. Now, the median loss of $272 per incident is fairly low, but we should not forget that these numbers significantly underestimate the real impact of the scam. In fact, many cases of COVID-related fraud are not reported. So, it is possible that all we're seeing is the tip of the proverbial iceberg. Okay, now let's look at the common scam techniques and how you may be targeted. In general, there are three techniques. The first one is the phone call or the robocall. The next one is the email or text message. And the third one is an in-person visit by the scammer. So imagine one day your phone rings. You look at the caller ID and the number looks vaguely familiar. Then you decide to pick up. As soon as you do, you hear an automated computer voice that tells you that they're calling from an agency such as the IRS, the World Health Organization, or Medicare, or some other big agency, telling you that this is a very important message regarding a very serious COVID situation and that it needs to be addressed right now, and that you need to press a button on your keypad to be connected to an agent. Now, the second technique is through an email or text message impersonating an official agency containing COVID-related information with a link or with an attachment. And the third technique is to get a visit from a scammer in person. Very often, the scammer may dress like a doctor, like a businessman, could present you with fake credentials, and will leave their business card with you. Now, although these scams are more rare, as they would expose the scammer, surprisingly they do still happen and are reported by users. This is often what we call a social engineering scam. Now, let's look at some of the more popular scam scenarios. In this video, we'll look at 9 types of COVID scam scenarios. More specifically, the stimulus check, the testing scam, the treatment scam, insurance scam, fake store scam, doctor scam, charity scam, romance scam, and finally the COVID app tracker scam. Now imagine one day you receive a call or an email message from the IRS, the Small Business Administration, or some other government agency telling you that they are unable to process your stimulus check payment because they're missing some critical information. So you need to provide them with this information before they can issue you with your check or direct deposit. Next, what the scammer will do is they will ask you to provide some sensitive information, such as your bank account, supposedly for your direct deposit, credit card information, social security number, or some other piece of confidential information. The next type of COVID scam is the testing scam. In this scenario, the scammer will often tell you that they are with the Centers for Disease Control and that they're offering a testing kit or can mail you an official COVID kit. The only thing you need to do is you need to provide them with payment information because you would be responsible for the shipping and handling of the package. Suffice to say that you will never get a kit and the scammer will steal your payment information. The next type of scam is the treatment scam. In this scenario, The scammers will try to sell you fake miracle cures or some other COVID treatment or some preventive medicine. Needless to say, again, they will try to get your payment information or other confidential information. In the insurance scam scenario, the scammers will offer you fake COVID insurance or travel insurance in case you get infected with the virus while you're traveling. Very often, hackers will set up fake online stores, supposedly selling COVID-related supplies or treatments. At best, you may get something low quality, or worst case scenario, which is the more likely scenario, the scammers will steal your payment information. In the fake doctor scenario, you'll receive a call from a scammer who would introduce themselves as a doctor who is taking care of a friend of yours. Unfortunately, as the scenario goes, your friend is not able to pay for the COVID treatment, so the fake doctor will request that you pay for your friend's treatment. In the fake charity scenario, the scammers will impersonate a well-known charity and will ask you for a donation for needy or very sick COVID patients who are not able to afford their treatment. Now, this is a type of a scam that plays on people's emotions. Another scam that involves people's emotions is the romance scam that exploits people's feelings of loneliness and social isolation. Now, initially, the scammers will groom their target, really talking on the phone for hours, trying to figure out what the target is interested in. But their aim is to build that emotional attachment. And at the right moment, they'll use COVID as a pretext to ask for money, to ask for favors or for other things. The last scenario is the COVID app tracker scenario. You may get an email where the scammer tells you to download a supposedly innocuous application that is a COVID tracker. Now, in reality, the application may contain an actual computer virus, which may encrypt your machine, and then the scammers will demand a payment in order to unlock your machine. This is what we call ransomware. Now, the application could also have the ability to spy on you while you're using your phone or computer. It may be able to capture your information, it could turn on your camera or microphone, and even steal sensitive information. This is what we call spyware. Next, let's recap the 4 main steps of a COVID scam scenario. In every COVID scam, there are 4 main steps. The first step is the scam technique. The attacker may use a phone call or a robocall, an email message or a text message, or the attacker could also visit their target in person. In the next step, the attacker will try to establish their credibility. They may claim they are with the federal agency, that they have a legal obligation, or they can even show you fake credentials. In the third step, the attacker will try to apply psychological pressure or grooming. Psychological pressure usually is applied in quicker scenarios. For example, the attacker may try to imply a sense of urgency. This needs to be done right now. Or a sense of scarcity. We have very low inventory and very low supply of these masks or some kind of equipment or treatment, so you need to order right now. The attacker could also imply peer pressure, meaning your family bought it, your relatives bought it, you need to buy it as well. Now, psychological grooming happens in longer scenarios, and as we talked in the romance scam, the attacker can spend a long time to groom the victim before setting them up to get scammed. In the next step, the attacker will try to get the victim's sensitive information, such as payment information, banking information, credit card, social security number, or some other sensitive information. Next, let's review how to recognize a scam. If you receive an email message or a text message, you'll often notice that you did not expect it, that it was unsolicited. As you read through the message, you'll notice spelling mistakes or grammar mistakes, or it just does not sound right. You could also notice a generic greeting. This is often the case when hackers blast the message to multiple users, often to thousands and thousands of users. If there is a link in the message, you can hover your mouse and you will see a pop-up of the actual link, and often it will not look legitimate. And finally, check the sender. If you look at the individual sending the message, they may not be from an official agency. Next, if you get a phone call, you also notice that you never expected the phone call, that the phone number and the caller ID may look similar to your number. Now, what attackers often do is they change the caller ID, and this is called spoofing. And they use a psychological trick where they make the number look similar to yours. And finally, there's the robocall. No federal government agency will send you a robocall. But to recap all the signs, if something about the message or the phone call sounds too good to be true, or it does not seem right, or it looks fishy, then it very likely is a scam. So be careful. Next, let's recap how to recognize a scam. For this, we will use a memory aid called mnemonic, and we'll use the word virus to identify who, what, when, why, and how. Now, in the COVID scam, who is often being targeted? That's the victim, that's the V. What are the scammers after? That's sensitive information, that's the I. And during the scam, often people are told to act when, right now, that's the R. Why do you need to act right now? Because it's urgent, that's the U. And then in a COVID scam, how will you be exploited? You will be presented with one of the scenarios that we discussed. Scenario, that's the S. Next, let's talk about what you should do if you're targeted by a COVID scam. If you receive an email message, you should flag it as spam. Often in your mail program, you'll find a button that you can press that will flag a message as spam, and this will let the mail provider know that this is a malicious message. That way, they will be able to block the same message for other users. If you receive a scam call, hang up. Or if you realize it is a scam and you decide to play along, make a note of any identifying information. What was the caller ID? What was the name of the person that called you? Was there anything specific about the person and about the way they spoke? But bottom line is never give out your private information and never give them access to your house or to your computer. It is very important to notify federal agencies of COVID scams, and there are several ways to do it. You can call the Federal Telecommunication Commission scam line, you could file a report online, and you can also notify the FBI via their portal. This is the end of our presentation on COVID scams. I hope that you enjoyed this video and that now you're able to recognize COVID scams and that you know how to deal with these scams. Thank you very much.